What's up, everybody? It's the Power Rankings Podcast, aka the Power Rankings Show. I am Elliot Harrison. I am pleased to be here on the day before Thanksgiving. I can't say the same for my colleague, Marcus Mosher, who is unhappy that he got to the Zoom earlier than I did by a good 10 minutes. What's up, bud?
Nothing. I'm just excited for Thanksgiving, excited to eat and watch some really, really crappy football on Thursday.
So I want to circle back to something. I wanted to wear my one of my jackets that kind of has a collar, but when I do that, you told me I look like the fraternity dude that beat up on nerds like you. Remember?
Yeah.
So I was going to wear it. Yeah. And I didn't. But here's a funny segue on that, or a little like addendum to that. Do you ever just Google something odd when you're watching a movie? Like you go down a rabbit hole.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Something that has no importance in your life whatsoever. So I wanted to know what happened to the guy that was in Back to School, Thornton Mellon's kid. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't really that interesting, but it made me think of it. Well, because when I was reading about it, I mean, there's nothing wrong with him. I just, I was like, okay, I've done that. It didn't really alter my life in any discernible way. I'll give you a chance to look up discernible if you want. There's a thesaurus at the bottom of your computer. You can just pull it up and then, but I know, but I'm looking it up and it reminded me I wanted to wear my jacket and that I was going to come off like Chaz again if I did that. So whatever. But Back to School, where does that rank among your comedies? Is that anywhere near the top? Given that you haven't seen Star Wars, I'm assuming you've seen Back to School.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's in the top 25, but it's a good one. It's an enjoyable one.
Not in the top 25.
Oh, I'll give you my list sometime. This is the Power Ranking Show. We can list my top 25 comedies. It'd be no problem at all.
Okay.
I want to guess what number one is?
Yeah, I'll give it a swing.
Yeah.
Can I get the decade? Just give me the decade.
1990s.
1990s. Ooh, gosh, I don't feel like the 90s were a great decade for comedies.
I strongly disagree.
What's that one with Martin Lawrence where he goes back and into the Middle Ages and he's thrown back into medieval?
No, it's not. And actually, my top two are both from the 90s. It's Dumb and Dumber and The Big Lebowski, both fantastic.
Oh, I could have gotten Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
I couldn't have gotten Dumb and Dumber. Oh,
just classics.
Yeah, I haven't seen Coming to America in a long time. That's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Christmas time of year, Christmas Vacation. I think those movies came out like 1 year right after.
Although I don't know if I consider Christmas Vacation a comedy. I call that a Christmas movie. It's a different genre.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
No. And I know people want to put it in there, but no. That's straight action.
By the way, when we're going to get to the picks in just a second, I know this is
I don't know if we are or not.
This is far more important. When I first went to college, I lived in the football dorm and I was stunned because the dorm was so loud, except on, it was either Tuesday or Thursday night, Martin was on with Martin Lawrence. And the entire dorm was, silent except people busting out laughing like every 3 minutes. It was the weirdest thing because like every single person was all watching the same thing. I had never experienced that.
I got one more question before we move on.
Okay.
What's the best Thanksgiving movie of all time?
Best thing. Well, I guess you don't really consider The Great Outdoors a Thanksgiving movie, but it's kind of related. So I'm going to cheat and go with that.
No, you mean Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is what you're talking about, right?
No, I mean Great Outdoors because he has to eat the old 96er. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of the few Thanksgiving movies there are, isn't there? How many other ones are there?
We have some other ones that kind of tie in Thanksgiving. Like, does Miracle on 34th Street count because it starts with the Macy Day Parade?
I guess that's fair. I just saw that movie for the first time about a year ago. You're talking about the original one, the black and white one from the late 40s?
Either one. They both start at Thanksgiving, so I guess that counts. Grumpy Old Men is another one that counts in there. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
This is good. We need to talk about Christmas movies before we get to Christmas. But you bring up a good, I guess the holidays are so close to each other that you don't really have separate Thanksgiving things like movies.
Yeah, we have a ton of Halloween movies. We don't have a lot of Thanksgiving movies. So there you go. That's an idea to all you movie producers out there that are currently listening to the show. Go make some Thanksgiving movies.
Yeah, great. I'm sure they're going to jump right on that. So what do we got in terms of picks, my man?
We've got a busy slate and actually some really good games, but a lot of them don't start on Thursday. So let's go ahead and go with the first game. It's the Bears and Lions. It's our noon kickoff. The Bears are 3-point road favorites with Andy Dalton as a quarterback.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at this game. I got quite a few things on this game. Number one, DeAndre Swift the last 2 weeks, well over 100 yards rushing in each game. But, man, a separate gripe that has something to do with DeAndre Swift. So he's got a lot of value in fantasy because most leagues, I feel like, do you play PPR exclusively?
Or do you play PPR? Yep.
Most leagues play PPR. If you don't play fantasy, that just means you get a point per reception. DeAndre Swift has caught 6 balls for 5 yards.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks.
Yep.
And you get 6.5 points for that. So if you're saying, well, what's the big deal about that? A running back would have to get 60 yards rushing to equal those 6 catches that only totaled 5 yards. It's ridiculous. I think PPR is the most ridiculous thing ever. But what's interesting is that DeAndre Swift had a lot of value as a pass catcher earlier on. Now he's doing it as a running back. Will it be enough against the Bears?
I don't know. Probably not. I think I'm taking the Bears here.
It's hard not to. I said yesterday when we did our pod, and you didn't want to do this one, that Andy Dalton gave them a spark. Also want to give a little bit of a historical note here. This is the first Thanksgiving game ever. Bears-Lions. They played in 1934. That was the first time it was ever played on Thanksgiving. Of course, the Lions, that became a tradition. The Cowboys did not get a Thanksgiving Day game until the 60s. I think it was 66. I'll have to look that up. But the Lions and Bears played first ever game. The Bears won 19-16. Bronco Nagurski threw a 2-yard pass, so a fullback pass, okay, because Nagurski was a fullback, and it won the game. It was a fourth quarter pass. And what they did is, do you remember the Tim Tebow pass that was so famous, that jump pass he threw?
Of course.
Marcus?
Yeah.
What they used to do is they would give the ball to Bronco Nagurski. He would run up to the line, and he would stop and throw a jump pass. But then he did that in the championship game. You had to be 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage to do that, to throw a pass back then. And he did that in a championship game, and they complained that he was not, that he faked a run into the line, stopped to throw it, right? Mm-hmm. And they complained that he wasn't 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's what opened up the passing game. That stupid little Bronco Nagurski jump pass. And he threw one in this first Thanksgiving game, all because of that stupid rule that you had to be 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So then they said, well, we don't want to officiate where behind the line of scrimmage they are. As long as you're behind the line of scrimmage, throw the ball, have a day. There you go. There was a long, convoluted history story.
So Bears -3, right? There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I agree with you. Do you want to know the total on that game? Because it's pretty low.
It better not be above 39.
41.5. Seems like the right number.
I'd take the under on that. Is that too risky?
No. You know why? Well,
why?
I think it is risky because we've got Andy Dalton and probably Jared Goff throwing the ball. So like the pick 6 potential here is enormous, right?
So it doesn't even matter where behind the line of scrimmage they are.
Yeah. So we can see some ugly quarterbacking in this game.
I just think it's ridiculous, dude. I think it's ridiculous that a fullback option pass is what opened up the passing game, because the officials literally didn't want to have to decide whether he was 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage or not. That's crazy to me, but whatever.
All right, our next game is our quarterback bowl. It's your guy Derek Carr against my guy Dak Prescott. The Raiders are 7.5 point underdogs on the road in this game.
I have the Cowboys by 7. I don't like that line. That is too.
That half a point scares you a little bit, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
Is that fair?
No, I agree with you.
I'm thinking stay away from this game altogether. I think for the Cowboys to win this game, Tony Pollard. Thank you, Courtney. That was much more efficient than my Bronco Nagurski story. But part of the reason my Nagurski story wasn't efficient is Marcus kept looking at me like, will you get through this? So that makes me nervous. And then I get nerves. And then I can't tell the story the way I wanted to. So I think both Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard need like 14 carries apiece. Run right at the Raiders. Don't mitigate their edge rushers, because that's the strength of their defense. And you watch this Raiders team very closely. You cover them for USA Today. Am I wrong here?
No, I think you're right. I would love for Dallas to bring back the lead draw in this game, right? Like get those ends up the field and then let Pollard and Ezekiel go downhill. We'll see if Dallas does that. We're still waiting on the status of CeeDee Lamb, whether he can play in this game or not. But I would take the Raiders plus 7.5. That's just too many points.
Tough on a short week. Do you have the Cowboys straight up?
I would stay away. We say this all the time. These Thursday games are so random.
I'm just talking about like your parents' league.
I would stay away.
Well, yeah, but then you have to pick in your pick'em league. You're still going to stay away. Like,
yeah, just pass. It's all right.
You're gonna
listen.
Pass.
I cover both teams. I'm just going to opt out of this one. I don't want to offend either fan base. So,
well, I have the Cowboys straight up. I'm with you. The Raiders to cover. And what I was alluding to with the Bears Lions, the Cowboys got this game in the late 60s, and the rest of the league didn't want it. Isn't that crazy? The other owners, they didn't want it. So Tex Schramm's like, man, I got a pretty new team here. We're only like 6 years old. I'm going to get us this game. Well, now a lot of the owners think it's unfair.
Although I kind of understand, because man, playing on Thanksgiving is just it sucks, really, right? Like you can't be home with your family. It's a normal work week. It's still not great.
Well, incidentally, the owner that had the biggest problem with it was Lamar Hunt, the former owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Cowboys play the Hunt family. Clark runs the team now. And that's why, if you remember, the first Thanksgiving night game was Chiefs. I can't remember who they played. It was like 2005 or 6.
I think it was the Chargers.
You might be right on that.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
All right. Our night game on Thursday is the Bills and the Saints. The Bills are 6-point road favorites in this game. And I will say this, Elliot. We've seen a lot of line movement. I think when I sent in the lines earlier this morning, it was 6.5. I see some sites that have it 5.5 now. So let's go with what we have on our screen, 6.5.
Okay, I'll pick the Saints to cover that. Bills straight up.
I agree with you. I agree with you. This is a huge game for Buffalo, though. If they lose this one, they are in real trouble in the AFC, not even just in their division, but to make the playoffs, because there's so many teams that are at 500 or above 500. You lose this one, and with 2 games against the Patriots coming up, this suddenly might not be a playoff team. So this is a huge game for the Bills.
Good. Have you seen the Saints at home this year, man? If you're not counting the week 1 game, because that wasn't really at home, they've allowed 485, 421, and 366 yards allowed at home. And that's a pretty good defense. I think the Giants are the ones that got the 485.
Yeah, it was.
Crazy.
We also probably are not going to have Alvin Kamara or Mark Ingram in this game. I know how much you think running backs matter, but it's just something notable that we should mention.
We move to the next game.
Yeah. Steelers-Bengals. The Bengals are 4.5-point favorites in this one. Now, remember, the Bengals did beat the Steelers earlier this year in Heinz Field in a game that wasn't really all that close.
Yeah. What's our injury situation?
So TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden, all expected to be back. The Bengals, I believe, are going to have everybody. Trey Hendrickson's a little bit banged up, but he should play.
Yeah, he's had a sack in 6 straight games. It's the longest active streak in the NFL. Originally, I had the Bengals by 7, but with those guys playing, ain't no way. Boy, this feels like a game Pittsburgh could sneak on the road just to drive people like you crazy. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the Bengals here straight up, but not to cover that spread.
This is my lock of the week. I think the Steelers are too many points underdog in this one. I think this should be a 3-point line. I absolutely see this game coming down to the final kick. And when we get into games like this, I trust Chris Boswell. I think he's probably the second best kicker in the league behind Justin Tucker. They're getting the guys back on defense. It's a huge game for Pittsburgh. Tyler Boyd called them out in the last game after they won. They said they just kind of quit in the 4th quarter. I don't think the Steelers are going to forget about that. I think the Steelers are going to win this game outright.
You think Steelers are going to win outright?
I do.
Boy, I really want to pick that. It's hard for me to trust that team. It really is.
Well, it's hard for me to trust the Bengals. Before this game against the Raiders, they looked awful in their last couple games. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't really trust either team. So that's just too many points.
I got a hair in my mouth again, Marcus. What's
Oh
the
my
next game?
gosh. I think that's a sign that you need a haircut. All right. Next game. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Indianapolis Colts. The Bucs are 3-point road favorites in this one.
So the Colts are going to lose this game. I think the Bucs are going to win. You said they're 3-point favorites?
Yes.
Yeah, that's about what I see them winning by. I don't know that I want to bet on that line. I like the straight up here.
This is
just a bad matchup for the Colts.
Yes, this is a bad matchup because they're going to get Vita Vea back. The Bucs are so good at stopping the run. So if they can bottle Jonathan Taylor up at all, I just don't see a way the Colts are going to put up 30 points in this one.
I don't, and the Bucs are first in rushing attempts, first in rushing yards allowed. So what that tells you is teams aren't rushing against them. That's why they're first in attempts. And you could say, well, yeah. So if teams aren't rushing against them, then of course they're going to lead the league in rushing yards allowed, but they're also second in yards per rush allowed. And they're third in rushing touchdowns allowed. Literally everywhere atop the board, they're at the leaderboard. They're right there. And I'm getting totally tongue-tied because I'm still mad at you about my Bronco Nagurski story. But the point is that you can't make an excuse about the Bucs defense. You can't say, well, yeah, that's because teams are having to throw a lot to catch up against them. That's not the truth. They lost 2 games in a row, as you so ably pointed out yesterday. And they're not leading the league in rushing yards because teams aren't running against them. It's because they don't give you anything at all. When you do, can Carson Wentz beat that secondary? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't trust him to do it. Nope.
I just like I don't trust Pittsburgh. I don't trust Carson Wentz right now, and I feel like I should, but I just don't see a consistent enough catalog with him. It's one good game, one so-so game, one good game, one bad game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking the Bucs -3 here. I think they win by a touchdown, if not more. It's just a really good matchup for them. I think Brady, who's had a lot of really good games against the Colts in the past, will play well. All right, the next game, it's an Elliot Harrison special. We actually have 3 of these this week, and we need to get a graphic for this, by the way, because Elliot likes to watch the absolute worst games. It's the Carolina Panthers and the Miami Dolphins. Panthers are 2-point road favorites.
Well, unless the graphic was all jumbled, because I've been just all jumbled in this podcast so far, that it really wouldn't be a good Elliot Harrison game. But Dolphins, Panthers, I think is the toughest game to pick this week. Now, I never know the lines. Marcus always tells them to me when we do the pod. So I have a little bit more of an organic reaction. And I have to kind of think it out in my head while we're doing this. I've got the Dolphins by 3 here, Marcus. What's the line on this one again?
The Panthers are 2-point favorites.
Yeah, I'll take the Dolphins all day on that to cover, and I'll take the Dolphins to win the game straight up.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Panthers -2. I think their defensive line is going to eat in this game. Like the Miami offensive line is absolutely atrocious. They should be able to get pressure with their front 4. I like the Panthers to win and cover.
I hope you're right because I'm tired of rooting for the Dolphins. I may change my mind by the end of this pod.
Okay, that's fine.
What's the next game? I probably will watch that stupid game too. Go ahead.
A really good game that might have some important seeding stuff in the AFC. The Titans and the Patriots. The Patriots are at home at Gillette Stadium, 6.5-point favorites.
That is a steep line.
It is, isn't it?
Wow. I've got the Patriots by 4 on this. So I made some notes and I wrote Patriots by 4. So I don't like that line. I hate to keep telling you guys I don't like that line, but sometimes Vegas knows what they're doing and they know how to hedge their bets. That's what they do for a living. A couple interesting notes here. And one of the reasons why I don't think the Patriots are going to win by a touchdown. I looked up in Ryan Tannehill's career, every time he had a sub 80 passer rating game. Just as a kind of line of demarcation, because he's coming off his worst game as a Tennessee Titan. I'm going to read you his passer rating the following week after he had either a bad or mediocre game.
Okay.
120.1, 129.3, 103.3, 94.5, 105.2, 105.9, and then in the playoffs, 109.5. Dude, that's about 100 on average, about 107.
It's not bad. Not bad at all.
He's a resilient player.
Well, Mike Vrabel's a resilient coach. Like they just find ways to win despite a whole bunch of injuries. Now, the thing here is New England's defense is the best in football. Over the last 5 games, they're giving up 50 total points.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Well, and how about this? In their last 3 games, they've allowed 13 points.
13.
Do you know how many their defense has scored in that time? 13. 13. So their defense is scoring as much as they're allowing, which is absolutely incredible.
It is. And they're allowing 16.1 points per game for the entire season, which is probably going to lead the league. That figure would be around the league leader. That's better than the Chargers last year, who led the league. Oh my
gosh. I just think that's too many points. I think this, Elliot, is going to be a game that's like 20-17.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I would pick the Patriots to win, but 6.5 is just too many points.
What's our over-under on this game?
Yeah, it's pretty low. It's 44.5.
I'll take it. I'll go under on that.
I would as well. All right, next game. The Eagles and Giants. The Eagles are 3.5-point road favorites. The Giants have a new offensive coordinator in Freddie Kitchens. Eagles are running the ball really well as of late. Who do you like in this one?
I don't know, but I'm trying to make my head even with yours on our video, but when you talk hard. Sometimes you do your head in kind of a counterclockwise motion. So I can see you and you lean forward and I can't get our head level right. Our pad level is totally off.
Pad level. There you go.
Pad level's off. How about a long, convoluted Bronco Nagurski story for this one?
Sure, that would be fantastic. Better than talking about this game.
Yeah. I like the Eagles in this game. Obviously, Vegas does too. That spread always sucks, though. It always sucks. Are you willing to take Philadelphia more than that?
Yes, I am.
Division game?
It's a division game. I think they can run the ball on the Giants, and the Giants are coming off a Monday night game in which they look so bad. I think I would take the Eagles here and the points.
I'm with you. I would take the Eagles by 7 in this game, and I'm going to quit futzing with my camera now.
All right.
Okay, what's next?
I'm going to have you guess this line. It's the Atlanta Falcons and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, gosh. Another game I'm going to watch. Why do I do that to myself? I think, you know what I think it is, dude? I feel like I know the good teams so well that I feel like I need to watch these cruddy ones so that I'm I see your raised eyebrows like this is
game number 2 of the Elliot Harrison special. Yep.
Okay, so Falcons at the Jags. I'm going to favor the Jags. Should be favored. I'm going to say, dude, don't smirk. Don't give it away. I'm going to say that the Jags are favored by 1.5 points.
The Falcons are 1-point favorites in this game.
Oh my gosh. I'll take the Jags.
Okay. I'm not planning on watching any bit of this game at all. Not a single second. But I will take the Falcons -1, -1.5, depending on where you're getting your line. The final Elliot Harrison special is the New York Jets with Zach Wilson back at quarterback against the Tyrod Taylor-led Texans.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to watch this game. I'm not going to do it.
Texans are 2.5-point favorites.
I'm not doing it. I will take the Texans in this. So to cover, win outright. Although I got to tell you, Tyrod Taylor, man, since coming back, dude, he's completing 57% of his passes, 5.2 yards per attempt, no touchdowns, and 3 picks. He's got to have a rebound game. Voila. What better game to do it than against this Jets defense? Do you disagree?
I agree. I think it's going to be a Tyrod game. I think he's going to play really well. I'm taking the Texans in this one.
Can I stop you for just a second?
Yeah.
Courtney's daughter decided to join here, and she looks like she's chewing something. I don't know what it is, but her mouth was wide open there for a second. No. Wait. Now she hears me and she left. All right. Doggone it.
Our afternoon slate. And actually, we've got 3 games, and all of them are pretty entertaining. The Chargers and Broncos. Chargers on the road, 2.5-point favorites.
Wait a minute. Did you say they're entertaining?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm not watching. I will. Oh, see, this is the kind of game that the Chargers get your hopes up, right?
And they lose.
They go lay an egg. But you know what? I'm going to put faith in them. Austin Eckler is going to have a day, and the Chargers are going to win and cover.
I really want to believe in the Chargers. And actually, this is a game where if they do win, I'll think way more of them because, they've lost this game a ton, so many times in the past. I'm taking the Broncos 2.5 points, though. They're at home, coming off a bye week. I think they're going to play well. I'm taking the Broncos.
I knew you would because they're coming off the bye week, but the Chargers really need this game. The AFC West is there for them to take. I know Kansas City's been playing great,
but they've got a tiebreaker over Kansas City right now.
Right, because they beat them in Kansas City. They still have to play in Los Angeles. Golly, I'm so with you though. This is the exact kind of game they lose. So I'm going to try to flip the script for them. All right, what's next?
I think our next game is the best one of the week. It's the Rams and Packers. Now, we have seen a ton of line movement in this game. This game actually started out as the Rams being favored by 2 points. We've been at Rams. I think when I sent this in, we're 1 point favorites. Now it's a pick 'em. I'm looking at the live lines right now. Who do you like in this game?
Well, the Packers secondary got exposed big time last week, but they played against one of the best duos in pro football. I hate to make this about Odell Beckham because I really don't talk about Odell Beckham that much, but Marcus, this is a different team without Robert Woods. I have extolled Robert Woods' virtues I don't know how many times because I think he's a really solid player. I like the Packers in this game.
Yeah, I like the Packers as well. I think the Rams have a better roster. I think they have a better coach, but they just aren't a team that's built to really play in Lambeau. And with Aaron Rodgers, under center, I just don't see them losing at home very often. I'm taking the Rams here, and you get them at a pick 'em. Make sure you're shopping for the best lines because you can at some places get them plus 1.5 at home. And you might think that's not a big deal, but what if this is a 28-27 game that comes down to an extra point or a 2-point conversion? That's where the value is. So I'm taking the Packers in this one.
I think it would really behoove the Rams to run at Green Bay and go play action off of that because even though the secondary got exposed, I want to be careful because they were playing Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. I would much prefer to run at Green Bay, go play action off of that, and set up some easy plays for Matt Stafford, who, let's be honest, Matt Stafford has not played well as of late. He's certainly not anywhere near what he did early in the year.
I agree. Although I don't know if Darrell Henderson is really that guy that you give the ball 20 times a game and you win that way. I'm just not sure that's the answer.
Hey, how about 17? How about 17 carries for him? If he has 17 carries and 68 yards and a touchdown and you can go play action off of that, that's fine, man. Okay. That's fine.
I'm picking the Packers here. Next game.
Me too.
The last game in our Sunday afternoon slate. It's a really important one for both teams. It's the Vikings and the 49ers. The 49ers are 3-point home favorites.
Which tells you that Vegas basically thinks that these teams are even, right?
Which they are, right?
They really are. So you have one quarterback who's just pretty much been consistently mediocre. You have another quarterback who is maybe the streakiest player in the NFL. I mean, Kirk Cousins, when he is going, is hard to stop. When he's not going, the Vikings are very beatable. Vikings gave up 467 yards of offense, Marcus, to the Packers. I think you're going to go to the Niners. I could sense it.
I just think.
Is it because of their situation or is it because they're at home or is it the matchup?
It's the offensive defensive lines for me. They're just so much better than Minnesota. And yeah, I do trust Kirk Cousins more than I trust Jimmy Garoppolo, but they can really rush the passer and they can run the ball. And I think that at least gives me some idea that they're going to stick around. And then on top of that, you know how much I love talking about kickers. Robbie Gould is a really good veteran kicker that you trust at the end of the games. I don't know if you can say the same thing about Greg Joseph in the Vikings.
I'm going to take Minnesota in this game. Minnesota wins by 20-19. I think the Vikings are a little different. I think they've turned it on. I do not trust the 49ers secondary. I really don't. And if Jefferson and Thielen play like they did last week, forget it.
All right, our next game, it's the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Now, if you remember this game from last year, this was one of the best games of the year, right? It's the one where Lamar Jackson is running into the locker room. He gets sick. It comes down to a last-second field goal. Ravens, 3.5-point home favorites.
Man, these are hard. I hate that line. Week. I hate that line. But in Baltimore, look, even with Lamar Jackson, remember the game they played against Miami a couple of weeks ago? They looked awful. They looked awful. Can they stop Cleveland's running game? That's the first question.
That's for you. I don't think so. I was thinking about it. I don't know if either team can stop them. Like, I really think the defenses in this one, I think they're so overrated. The Browns have given up 40 points multiple times this season. They gave up 40 to the Chargers, 40 to the Cardinals. And then the Ravens, you know, listen, we saw them in some of these games give up 35 to the Raiders. Yeah.
Courtney,
I don't know.
Can we have that red graphic, please? Yes. Stay away. I don't care what the over-under is. I don't care about the line. I think the Ravens are going to win by 4, maybe. The line's at 3.5. No way. I want to pick the Ravens straight up to win the game, though.
I think I would lean the Ravens as well, straight up and against the spread, but I do not feel good about it at all. All right. Our last game, it's a Monday Night Football game. And this one also should count as an Elliot Harrison special. It's the Seattle Seahawks against the Washington football team, 2 division winners from last year that are really going nowhere. Washington, a 1-point home favorite.
I'll take Washington to cover that and win it straight up, obviously. I mean, it's
obviously.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, obviously.
Oh, I thought you meant obviously they're going to win.
I mean, unless you can win by a half point now, you know.
I think it's obvious that the Seahawks are going to win this game. No, I don't think it's obvious. I would pick Seattle. I would pick Seattle, but that's about it. This might be a game. This might be the first Monday night game that I don't watch every second of.
You remember Russell Wilson tweeted out resilient this week. So, you know.
Can I just start tweeting out random one-word things on Twitter? Hungry.
Yes.
Thirsty.
Hungry. Thirsty. Okay, so to circle back to my Bronco Nagurski story.
Okay.
So, Marcus, here's what happened. They played in the 1932 title game.
I thought you were joking. I thought we weren't going to do this again.
Yes, and the Bears won on this controversial pass where Bronco Nagurski ran up to the line, but it was 2 yards behind the line, and the Portsmouth Spartans, who became the Lions, said, "Hey, that shouldn't count." The league didn't want to deal with it, so they opened up the passing game. So 2 years later, they play in Thanksgiving, and Bronco Nagurski does it to him again, but it's a legal pass, and the Bears won the first ever 1934 Turkey Day special. I think both teams Thanksgiving trivia for you.
Yeah, I think both teams would love to have Bronco Nagurski throwing passes in this one compared to what they're going to be rolling out. So,
if you guys don't know, Marcus is a huge Cowboys fan, but you should know that. He hosts Locked On Cowboys. Look at me plugging your material.
It's not like I got Cowboy jerseys right behind my head right now. But okay.
Right. So he's got, if you can't see him, if you're not watching on Brinks TV YouTube, you don't see his road Tony Romo jersey. So Tony Romo's first Thanksgiving Day game, he throws for 5 touchdown passes. Who was the quarterback he went against in that game?
Ooh, was it Bruce Gradkowski?
Correct, sir. Yeah. Nice work.
Yeah,
really nice. Fine work from you today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go back over our picks.
All right. So we both like the Bears to beat the Lions and to cover the 3-point spread. And please correct me if I'm wrong, because you always say I mess these up.
You do.
You think the Cowboys are going to beat the Raiders? You would take the Raiders against the spread, as would
yes.
I would stay away from the money line in that one.
And you won't pick the game because you're being
Buffalo. Yeah. We both like Buffalo to cover the spread and win outright.
Yes.
Okay. Steelers, Bengals. I like the Steelers to not only cover, but to also just win outright. I think you like the Bengals to win, but the Steelers to cover.
Correct.
Okay. Tampa Bay, Indianapolis. I like the Bucs to win and cover, and so do you, right?
Yes.
Panthers and Dolphins. I like the Panthers to win and cover. You like the Dolphins to win at home.
Oh, good. Gosh. I have to pick Miami.
You do. Titans, Patriots. We both like the Patriots to win outright, but the Titans to cover in a 20-17 game.
Yes.
Remember that score. Philly and the New York Giants. We both like Philly to win and to cover. You like the Eagles to win by 7. I don't disagree. Falcons, Jags, best game of the week. I like the Falcons probably to win and cover. So I'm guessing.
Probably. I like that. I like the
probably. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care.
Is there a probably parlay?
Yeah, no? It's called a teaser.
Okay, yeah, right.
Who did you like in that game?
I already lost my thought. Jacksonville.
Okay. Wow. Jets and Texans. Texans 2.5-point favorites. We both like the Texans to win and cover. Yeah. Chargers, Broncos. You like the Chargers to cover the 2.5-point spread. I like the Broncos to win at home. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Rams, Packers. We both like the Packers to win. Vikings, 49ers. I like the 49ers, and I believe you do as well.
I like the Vikings in this game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I don't, that's a close one. That's really a coin flip game. Browns, Ravens, a spread that we both hate, but if we had to pick, we would take the Ravens to cover that spread and the Ravens to win. And then our Monday night game, the Seahawks and Washington football team. I like Seattle to win. You like Washington.
Okay. So every once in a while, I tell you to sell me on a game and I will defer to you on it. So that game for me is Carolina, Miami. If I'm betting on that game and I'm betting Carolina, tell me why Carolina covers this.
Well, I just think the defensive line is such a mismatch for Miami, who I think has the worst offensive line in football. And we know that Tua is not a quarterback that handles pressure very well.
He's played well as of late, man.
He has.
3 of his last 4 games, he's got 100 passer rating. He has played better.
I think this is a team that can get a lot of pressure on him with just their front four. Cam played pretty well last week in his first game. 21, first start, 21-27. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey's back. I think they're going to be able to put up 24 points and win this one.
This is the kind of game I'd like to see low pass attempts from Cam. I'd like to see them lean on the run game based on the strength that you're talking about with their defense. Let their defense play ball, but also when you have a great defensive line, if you run the football on offense, you limit the number of possessions and you limit the amount of time on the field that those big guys up front on your defense have to be there, which means they get after the opposing team's quarterback a lot better. So you know what? I'm going to defer to you. Last time I deferred to you, remember you started me 0-2 this year, but the last time you said, no, Elliot, I'm telling you, Minnesota's going to beat the Chargers. And I went with you on that. So I'm going to go with you on this. I'm going to change my pick. I will take Carolina to beat Miami. And we'll see if you get me to 2-2 on the defer to Marcus picks.
All right. Last season. Last one before we go. What's your $1 million bet of this week? Or your $10,000 bet? I guess what you call it, right? You go to a casino that has legal sports betting. What game are you just putting $10,000 on, knowing that you're going to come ahead a winner?
I'm going to let you go first because I really have to think about it. You got to look at all these. Remember, I don't get to look at these. So go ahead. You do yours.
For me, it's Pittsburgh plus 4.5. I think Pittsburgh is going to win, but if they don't, it's going to be a field goal game, right? It's just going to come down to that last possession. I think this line should be Bengals +3, or excuse me, Bengals -3, and it's not. I just see too much value there on Pittsburgh.
It's really, when you're picking Pittsburgh to win outright, it makes your pick easy, right? I mean, you don't even have to really think about.
Right. Because they're going to stay within a field goal. It's just these AFC North games are always incredibly close. Pittsburgh needs this one actually more than Cincinnati does. I think we see the Steelers just play a lot better.
So just looking at some of the games real quick where you would think if you're out there and you're like, man, I really want to bet big money on a game. I only want to pick one game to do it. Marcus just gave you one option. If division games scare you, I don't blame you, Marcus. You talk about that a lot. Division games can get weird sometimes, just like Thursday night games do. I think Buffalo at New Orleans is tricky. You and I both like Buffalo to win that game, but Buffalo
is a Thursday game, though.
It's a Thursday game. I was getting there, and they're just so doggone inconsistent. So there's 2 games I'm thinking of here where I would be close to willing to bet the farm. Tampa Bay beating Indianapolis, or Green Bay beating the Rams. Which of those 2 do you like better?
Probably Tampa Bay to beat Indianapolis, because I think the Rams are just a better team than the Colts. And I know they're not playing each other, but I could see a game where the Rams just play an A+ game and they beat the Packers. Like, that could easily happen. I think the Colts would have to play their best game of the season, and Tampa Bay would have to play an awful game in order for the Bucs to lose that one. So that's
what's the spread on that?
3.
Bucs favored by 3, right?
Yeah. So you bet 3. If they win by they only win by 3. Hey, it's a push. You don't lose any money, but I think they win by more than that.
Did we get any update on the Bucs receivers injury wise? I know Mike Evans was kind of hobbling around there at the end of that game.
He didn't practice on Wednesday, but they are expecting him to play. And here's the thing with Tampa Bay. Even if Evans doesn't play, they've got enough other weapons they can throw to. Sounds like Antonio Brown is getting closer to coming back, but maybe not this week.
Well, they've all been banged up at different times. Godwin's been banged up. Evans has been banged up. Brown's been banged up. Gronk just came back. That's my $10,000 pick, though, for the week. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to beat Indianapolis. And at worst, if they only win by 3, well, then it's even. So there you go.
That's our show.
Go enjoy it. I think so. I always give you the last words. That means you don't have a last word. Would you like another Bronco Nagurski story?
No, that's all right. I'm just getting my body ready to eat an ungodly amount of apple pie this weekend. So there you go.
Did you know one time he ran for a touchdown at Wrigley Field and he hit his head on the brick wall and he ran back to George Hallis and he told Coach Hallis, that last guy hit me pretty good.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving, everybody.
Well, he's in the Hall of Fame, Bronco Nagurski. Great fullback. See y'all.